Hi, this is Ash from Airlocks here to talk about my E&L AKM. I've had this thing 2 years. I bought it off Evike brand new. I've used it in 4 games, all outdoors, and would just like to talk about what I think about this gun. If you're, in the market for an AK, overall, I'll get it out of the way. I think this is a good contender, especially at its price point, just right below $300. Um, it kind of falls right in between the SEMA AKs that you'll find for under for about up to 250, but you can buy SEMA AK for 130, 140 bucks, I think, still for relatively good quality. And this is about $280. So for like a middle tier AK airsoft gun, this is it'll all be relative to its price. So just keep that in mind. On the upper end, you'll have your LCT AKs, your Arcturus AKs. At the really high end, you can get an NPO AK. Those are extremely hard to find. So anyways, kind of like your middle tier AK. So to start off, it's all steel and wood, just like the real thing, except for the plastic handguard and the flash, or not handguard, but pistol grip. The flash hider on mine is steel because I replaced it with the LCT steel AKM flash hider, but out of the box it'll be a plastic orange flash hider. The wood, I've certainly seen better quality wood stocks and handguards on AKs, but nothing to shy against, I guess. The steel though is really good quality steel. It feels solid as can be. It will rust. Mine's already shown some signs of rust. So just kind of make sure you're aware of that. As you probably heard before, E&Ls like to rust a lot, and this one is no different. So just keep that in mind. I can't stress it enough though. The quality of this steel external body is insane for the price that you're paying for this thing. I've handled LCT AKs and it's hard to tell the difference in regards to the steel on E&L and an LCT, high-end AK airsoft gun. So with those two big factors out of the way, talking about its performance, now this thing can hop 0.3 gram BBs out of the box with relatively no problem. You're using about 2/3 of the hop, if I had to guess. Maybe one half to 2/3 of your available hop to hop 3.0 BBs, which is fine in my opinion. So I use 2/8 with it though, just to decrease that amount of stress that or strain the hop up is under. Not that it really matters, but I just find 2/8 to work a little bit better. Mine shot about 1.2 joules on average out of the box, which is okay. That's decent. I would prefer a little bit higher, like 1.4, but 1.2 is fine. I'm sure that'll vary between different singular ones, but to change the spring now. I tried to upgrade this thing. This is actually my biggest complaint about this particular replica. To take apart an AK, it's not super difficult. You take off this butt pad, or not, this dust cover, and then you flip this switch right here. You flip that. You flip it up. Can't do it on camera right now. There you go. You flip that up, and then you take this handguard, this top handguard off. Has the gas assembly too in it, and then there's this lever. It might be hard to pick up on camera. This like silver lever. It's typically black, but I've screwed around with it so much that it turned silver. Anyway, so that silver lever on my replica, it will not go up all the way, therefore making it impossible to take this lower handguard off. And why that's important, because to take the lower handguard off, you need to do that in order to then take off this this front assembly right here, this steel front assembly, by doing 2 Allen keys, very small Allen keys inside of it, which I haven't even got to. But that's from what it looks like, it's a very particular or very tedious, that's the word, process to take off this front gas block, maybe that's what you call it, with the front sight. And then there's a few more bits and bolts that you have to take off to take out the gearbox, and then also access your hop up and barrel. So I was unable to, take this thing fully apart. I imagine that's just, a fault of my own, that I messed something up, or just my particular replica. But just be wary of that if you wanted to upgrade this thing. I've had some difficulty upgrading or accessing, the necessary steps to take apart or disassemble this replica. And that also goes for the quick change spring in the back, which you would need to disassemble this thing down to the gearbox, to take out the gearbox to access the quick change spring, which is how most AKs work, unfortunately. So with that in mind, that's really the biggest downfall of this thing is my inability to upgrade it due to its hard avenue to disassemble it. So with that out of the way, there is another issue I've had with this thing. It has pretty bad mid-cap syndrome, which is when you overload the mid-caps, the BBs will, propel out of the gun at an abnormal way. In my case, they were flying at probably half the FPS they should, or half the energy they should, and they were, going maybe 50 feet and just dropping. So I believe that was due to my overfeeding or overloading these mid caps that I have. So be wary of that too. They only hold about one speed loader or about 120 rounds in each mid cap. So just be wary of that, so don't overload them. Other than that, it does feed relatively well. The springs in the magazines themselves are not very powerful, which is fine because they feed well, but they won't feed super high rate of fire. This thing doesn't have a high rate of fire. It uses a 7.4 and it shoots probably 750 rounds a minute. So I'm thinking maybe 13 rounds a second. Is that about right? 12, 13 rounds a second. So which is fine for what it is. I don't personally like AKs, like an AKM like this, to shoot super fast. That's kind of weird to have an AK shoot fast. So in my opinion, like standard, like a old-fashioned AK like this. Anyways, but yeah, they lock pretty well. There's almost no wobble in it, which is nice. The whole gun is very solid, as I haven't stressed that enough yet. It's a very solid feeling replica. But yeah, that's it was somewhat of an issue, the mid-cap syndrome that I had when I first got this, and I realized what it was. So, and other than that, I mean, there's a fake cleaning kit in the back here. So I popped it out already, but you'll see this thing. This comes out. I also cannot unscrew this, but it does unscrew, and it's like a little brush in there. On the real thing, you would use that to clean your barrel. On the airsoft version, it's nothing more than a gimmick. And then stuff that back into that tube right there. Push your finger in there, and then it'll close up, and it just kind of stays in there. Adds a little bit more weight to it, but it's cool. It's a neat, kind of a neat little prize, I guess, or extra. So the performance, like I said, about 1.2 joules, 700 to 750 rounds a minute on a 7.4 LiPo battery. But yeah, its real claim to fame is the price tag that you're paying for it, in conjunction with its build quality, which is on par or right below the LCT and upper tier E&L AKs that you'll see on the airsoft market these days. So I do recommend this gun though, as I've used it 4 times. I think it's worth the price. And I imagine what my difficulty with upgrading it is my own fault, and this potentially in hand with this particular replica just being a little more difficult than other ones. So I doubt I've not heard that being much of an issue with other owners of this particular replica. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Just worry about the rust though. Just make sure you're wiping it off with silicone oil is what I use after every game, because all that sweat that when you aim down your sight and all that moisture that you're creating from your mouth and your body from all the sweat playing an airsoft game will get on the metal parts and potentially could cause rust. So just be wary of that. So Yeah, I do recommend this thing. So I hope to see more of the AK. I think AKs are really good looking rifles. I mean, they're relatively common, AKs. They're all in all shapes and sizes these days. So, a lot of manufacturers make them. But I think the E&L Essential AKM is a solid contender for a intermediate player who's maybe on somewhat of more of a budget, like below $300 for their replica. This is probably the best AK externally that you could find for under $300. Yeah. So, anyways, all right. Thank you. Have a good day.